Marvel's Avengers is set to have a decently long single-player campaign to get you started, but afterwards it's going to be all about that endgame loop, according to a recent interview with the creative director over at Crystal Dynamics. As you progress with your character through the content, you will find more and more difficult missions, at which point you will need to start thinking about character builds and acquiring the best gear possible to progress further. There are also talks about team coordination and character specializations, as well as more varied and less linear missions and areas. So let's dive right in with the latest details, and also don't forget to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, as that would be very much appreciated. Starting up with the loot, we already discussed this in a previous video that both gear and outfits are going to be pretty much separate, so you can make your own character look however you want without having to sacrifice stats or abilities. Gear pieces are what's going to influence that, and they do appear to have their own separate slots that behave like layers of armor inserts or technology upgrades, according to the same interview. When asked about it, Crystal Dynamics creative director confirmed that there's going to be a rarity system for the gear you will want to collect. He didn't go into any specifics yet, but we can expect something very similar to how other RPGs out there are doing it, with items having various rarities like epic, rare, legendary, and so on, with stats and abilities on them being affected by the rarity increase. There's also going to be plenty of gear that is much more difficult to acquire but will provide additional benefits. Part of the reason why you'll want to chase better gear is so you can get ready for even bigger fights, so it's not excluded for the game to include several difficulty settings, with higher difficulties providing better loot, but at the cost of being much harder and require much more team coordination. And it also does sound like we might get something that at least behaves like legendary loot. I'm mostly referring to the section about higher difficulty items providing additional benefits, so I'm definitely looking forward for that loot chase. As far as skills go, chances are only going through the campaign is not going to be enough to unlock all of them, and the high-end equipment is going to be available after finishing the main campaign and progressing through the even more difficult content. But as you move onwards with your character progression and acquire more skills and gear, then you can start tailoring the playstyle as you see fit. It's been confirmed that characters can have different specializations and fit different roles within the same parties depending on the encounter you want to take on. So for example, you can even create something like a tanky Hulk if the situation requires it, and it seems that characters can fit different roles or playstyles as well. But this raises the question now if the game offers the possibility to run a classic MMO party style that features tanks, healers, supports, as well as DPS. There's no official clarification on this yet, but there are definitely certain heroes within the Marvel universe that can fit in any of these roles. But since the game is more centered around action and combat, I would expect for the game to continue to focus on making all characters suited for combat, with maybe a few abilities here and there that could fit one of the classic MMO roles, but that would be pretty much it. Again, this doesn't sound like it's going to be the case here, and at most I think we'll have tanks and DPS roles, but nothing more. Anyway, moving on with the campaign, this is what we'll start with, and even though it's a big part of the game, it's only going to cover about half of what the game has to offer, drawing parallels to previous games that the studio released, such as the Tomb Raider series. Outside of the campaign, there's also going to be optional missions that you can complete as you progress through it, or you can wait until you finish the main campaign and then complete these optional missions, like keep them in the end and then get the benefits from them. Now, in the leaked gameplay video, we saw a very linear early mission with the bridge and whatnot, but that doesn't mean all of the missions in the game are going to be the same. In fact, Crystal Dynamics pretty much confirmed within the interview that it was important for them to give players a sense of exploration in some of the spaces, so there's going to be areas where we will actually have to search for something and even discover things that are far off the critical path. This means that we might even get to see hidden areas, possible puzzles, and even hidden encounters that could provide bonus rewards or story content. Even more so, certain heroes could be better suited at completing these certain areas or help the rest of the party to progress through them. Like for example, Iron Man being able to fly over a certain puzzle, or Hulk being able to smash through a wall to gain access to a new zone someone else couldn't get access to otherwise. But in most cases, Crystal Dynamics confirmed that the roles will be much more flexible than that, and it will mostly affect the way parties engage in certain fights and not how they can progress further. So for example, during a fight, Iron Man could take down the flying targets, while Hulk could be on the ground pulling up their attention and whatnot. So your progression through the game won't be hindered because you don't have the proper character with you. If anything, the characters will be able to adapt to these situations according to the same interview. Even if the game isn't going to be fully open world, there are a lot of diverse areas we'll get to play into, with exploration being more important than we actually thought before. I know many of you have asked me in the past if this is going to be an open world game, so I hope this clarifies it. It's not going to be open world, it will feature a hub with multiple areas you'll get to jump into, and while some of these areas might be more open and hold some secrets you can explore, it's still not open world in the true sense of the word. Outside of this, as I've said before, the game will feature an ongoing support after launch, which comes in the form of these new heroes and new zones. Both of these will be free for all existing players, and there's not going to be any microtransactions or pay to win stuff involved, but there are going to be some forms of monetization outside of the game's initial price point, mostly for the in-game hero outfits and other cosmetics that we might find. In the same interview, we got to find out that some of these items are going to indeed be purchasable from the in-game shop, but others can also be unlocked through simply playing the game. So I'm really glad that just playing the game, like just through the gameplay itself, we're going to be able to unlock many of these outfits. Not really sure exactly how many of them will be, not really sure how good these will look, but at the very least we have that option, and I found it really awesome. I think it's a good compromise between player satisfaction, fairness, and the company still being able to support free updates for the near future. Also, from the look of it, the storefront will feature and you will get exactly what you pay for. There's nothing random about it according to the interview. Instead, if you see an outfit and you like it, then that is exactly what you will receive when you pay the money for it. But I think that pretty much covers everything we have for now. This has been all the info I could extract in the past few days. I hope you guys enjoyed this video nonetheless, and if you did, then a thumbs up would definitely be awesome. Also, if you like clicking buttons, then consider pressing that subscribe button and activate that notification bell, and I will see you guys next time, so peace out.